In this video, I will show you the creation rules and the cleaning stuff that sometimes you have to do during the process of creation. So the first thing that we have to be aware of, it's when you had a mesh like a cube, for example. I will make a GUI and focus on it with the numpad here. When you make a cut, and I told you that already, and I did show you that already, but just to make sure that that you are aware of that, with Ctrl+Shift+X, when you make a cut like that, and that you make a line, and that one of the angle is less big than 30 degrees, like for example the second one here should be, and even maybe the first one, but at least the second one will be less big than 30 degrees. You can see that it's a wide angle there. So when I make a cut there and that I just make a remove, or even without remove it will be good, I will remove this one, this part. Okay, again I do it here, there. Okay, good. Yeah, there is that's why it didn't work. It's because we had the cursor depth activated. So what I will do, I will just do Ctrl+Z here, disable this with D, and come back there. Okay, and now we can see that if we go out with escape and make the bevel object here, this angle is sharpened, as you can see, but this one is not sharpened because it's less big than 30 degrees. Yeah, it's just this that you have to be aware of. So to resolve this problem, when you have this, you enter into edit mode and you will see the sharpened edges that are in blue and the rest that is in black there. So you just have to go there and make a sharpen. In case you want to clear some edges, you can go there and clear the edges, and there will not be sharpened as well. As you can see here, we have some bevel and not on these ones. Okay, so important to understand that sometimes it will not add some bevel into your edges by default. You just have to add it manually after. Okay, so this is the first, let's say, rule to respect. Not really a rule, but a fact to be aware of. Something that you have to take care of too, it's that when you cut some edges like that, maybe I will select everything there and hide it like this. We are not disturbed with that. When you cut some other shapes, like let's say I would like to make a line here, okay, and in that case no problem. And let's say I will start to cut from here, and I will make, by purpose, I will make a cut that will go very near this vertex that is here. Okay, so I make this cut that is going very near here, and maybe that will go out very near of the second one there. Okay, so this is not really something that will cause problem always, but in case it's really too close, it will cause problems, because after, when the bevel is too big is bigger than the distance between the two vertices, like for example if I increase my bevel there, you can see that here we have some artifacts that will start to come. Okay, so you have two ways of remove these artifacts. The first way is to decrease the bevel, and it will work well. Okay, so no problem with that. But in case you want still to keep your bevel in this kind of amount, and that you want to get rid of that, so you go into edit mode, And you have two solutions basically. You select the vertex and you make a GG to make a slide and to have enough space between the two vertices here, and you will have something decent here. But in case you don't want, but you want a sharp angle there, you just select this one and make Alt M at last. Okay, so as it's something we will do a lot, this Alt M at last or Alt M at center, depending on what you want to do. At last will put the first vertex that you selected into the second one, and at middle it goes at middle as it says. So as it's something that we will use often, usually what I do, I use the Q shortcut that is here the quick favorite by distance at center, and here I told Alt M at last that I would like to add into my quick favorites. So what I do, I make a right click here and I add to quick favorites, and now with Q it will come naturally, and you can add here really what you will use a lot. For example, what is good with this method is that it's not only for edit mode, but for object mode too. We will do some shortcuts as well, quick shortcuts as well. Okay. So what you have to be aware of too, in case you have some problems like that. This one, for example, here is useless. We can see it because it's a straight line. So you can just get rid of it by remove and dissolve the vertex, and it will keep the geometry. So like that, no problem with this. So this was the first little things to be aware of. So let's say here you have the same kind of problems because the bevel is too big and you have this kind of artifacts there. So you just select this one to that one and make Alt M at last, and it will resolve most of the problems there if the amount is not too big. Here it was so big that this triangle was too little there. But more or less it's like that we will have to work. One thing that you have to be aware of too, it's when you do some cuts into circular shapes. Like for example here, it's really something that I don't recommend to make. Like for example here, let's say we go there and we'll make a Ctrl+Shift+X with the rectangle here, and I will just draw a cut like that. Okay, and with the reboot I will just keep that like this. Good. So we can see that for this one here we have this that can be a little less big because we don't have a lot of space there. And what I would like to do first, when you want to make a bevel into an object, manual bevel into an object that has the bevel modifier, like for example here I would like to make a Ctrl+B to add a nice shape like that. Okay, so let's say I would like to add this kind of shape here. Good. But you can see that Blender keeps this one as sharp and this one as sharp. Okay, so when you do a bevel like that, be careful that you just remove and clear sharp edges, and like that it will make a nice smooth surface here over there. Okay, so okay, we did make this kind of shape, but yeah, something I really don't recommend to do usually, it's to make it's to draw a shape, and with Ctrl+3 I will be good there, is to draw a shape like a line over there and something like that directly in the middle of this geometry there. This one can cause you some troubles. You can see that already we have some troubles there. So yeah, it's really because we have too much beveling into the object. But even if I decrease a lot the bevel, you can see that here I have still the artifacts that will go there. So how to remove those artifacts? I will go manually, and as you can see here, there's this geometry is really too close to each other, and that's why it caused the problem here. So what I have to do, I will use the K here to just draw and cut a shape over there, and I will make the same into this place there. Okay, and now that I have this geometry available, I will go into the vertices selection, and I can make Alt M at last, okay, or use the Q to have the at last very quick like that, and it will remove the problem more or less. And it was an easy one, this one, let's say. When you have to draw a kind of circular shape into another curved shape or even circular shape, it can be a big mess. Big mess. Like for example, let's say we add another cube there, and we make a big bevel there. Okay, something like that. Okay, and we would like to again draw another cut, but this cut will be a circular shape this time. So I will go there into the good view with Control Numpad 3, and I will just bevel my object first, and I will just go there with Control Shift X, and this time I would like to draw a circle over there. So something like this, and with a rebel. Okay. And usually this is something I don't recommend to do, but in case you really want to make it, you will have little artifacts around your geometry, around there, a little everywhere. So yeah, it's something a little more complicated to get rid of, because here I do escape to come back here. Here in this model, for example, what we have in terms of vertices, you can see that here, for example, there's two vertices will cause problems. So maybe we'll do at last here, and this one maybe, okay, it's possible to keep it. Here maybe we have two vertices very close to each other, okay, and the same with Q at last. So yeah, basically you will have to do that and to come back to your model, and it can be a little time consuming for this kind of task, okay, but it's the only way to get rid of all the problems there. And you can see that now on this part it's clean. The same into this object, you can really see that this artifact comes from these two vertices, and just with Q at last, and we will have something cleaner to show. But more or less I don't recommend to do this kind of cut. It's a little tricky after, and time consuming. I don't say it's impossible, it's just time consuming. And it will be even worse if you add, for example, here a sphere, and with GX, for example, here, okay, and I will just make bevel object to have something smooth, and with Control Shift X again, I will just draw another shape. It will be another circle, and with the Alt key I will move it a little, and this one, it will be probably a big mess. Okay, so I did cut. You can see a lot of artifacts around there, and if you want really something clean after, it's a little complicated, because here you have to respect the shape of the ball that you have initially. Like for example, here there's two vertices, there's three vertices that we will have to manage. Will it be on that one? Will it be on that one? So yeah, it's a little more tricky and requires more time. Like for example, here I can go at last here, and it will remove the problem, but we still have these two, but we want to keep the shape over there. So it can be really more complicated to use that stuff into curved shapes, and I don't really recommend it, because it makes really a mess into your model after. Okay, so that's it for the creation rules. Here what we did see with the other little object that we made before, I will make Alt H to unhide the model that we did make before. We did see that here we had a little artifact, and so this kind of artifact, it comes by a bad geometry or a bad implementation. So we'll have a look on this here, over there, this vertex. Maybe we have two vertices, and that's why it caused the problem. And yeah, usually it's this. So you can see here, yeah, we have a double. So with B, I will just select there's two vertices, and with Q, I will make out last, and it will just resolve here the problem easily. Okay, so so that's it for this kind of little problems that you can have during the modeling process. Usually it's just cleaning some vertices. Sometimes it can be just a shape of a face, like for example this one, that can be really too much complicated, and that Blender cannot handle it to make it properly. So sometimes you just have to make a K just to make two more simple shapes. Like for example, you make a K here, and like this you will have here just two faces, and it can resolve the problem as well. But usually, more or less, if you respect the rules that I told you, don't cut too much in curved surfaces, make your bevel in the end of the process of creation. Like for example here, okay, if I would like to add some beveling here around there, it can be possible now. Okay, to make it a little more interesting. Okay, that's good. Same around here, Control B, just to have something more interesting, depending on how much you want your model to be low poly or not. If you want to have something low poly, don't add too much bevel, because it adds a lot of new vertices and new faces. Okay, and now you have already a shape a little more interesting. We could make this the same around this one, Control B, just to have this kind of shape. Okay, and clean after well your edges if needed. So I will clear these ones, and maybe these ones here sharpen, and we'll have a nice curve, okay, that we will put into the other side as well. And yeah, just play with this just to add some interesting shapes in the end, but don't add too much. Like for example, on that one I could add here. Okay, yeah, and it will give a more natural look in the end of your model. You don't have to add everywhere, but just in really sharp angles that you see that it can make an improvement into your model as well. Okay, so that's it for this introduction of the modeling tools that we will use during the modeling process. And into the chapter 2 we will start to model our river, and for that we will use a shape generator that I did create, and I will show you how it works, just to have some exclusive shapes that you will work with and make your own creations without following exactly the same as me.